I'm Paul Stafford. I hail from the New Orleans area. My wife, Faye, and I moved here about 5 years ago. And that was brought about by a hunting trip that I had just returned from here in Kerrville. I've been coming to Kerrville and Kerr County since 1972. Hunting, doing wildlife photography and nature photography. I returned from this hunting trip, and the wife says, "How was the hunting?" I said, "I could live in Kerrville." And she said, "Find us a house." And I said, "Don't say that twice." She said, "No, I'm serious. I'll move." So I came out 3 weeks later, looked at a few sites, got hooked up with a realtor, got her on the next plane out on the weekend. 3 months later, we had sold our house in New Orleans, moved here, and beat the hurricanes by 5 months.
Can you tell us a little bit about your professional background before you retired?
I started out at minimum wage, $1.05 an hour. It was in those days, now it's 8 or 10, as a mail clerk in a growing company that specialized in offshore oil and gas construction. J. Ray McDermott was the name of the company. Their biggest competitors was Brown and Root out of Houston. I worked in various departments, did things their way. They were paying me, and I thought that was the proper thing to do. And when I left the company, I had a staff of 44 people. I had a budget of over $3.5 million. I ran a communications department. I was given the option of moving to Houston and starting up the international marketing arm of the company, but I was set on retiring. So I passed on extending my tenure with them, and here I am.
Do you have any experience in public office or governmental experience?
None, absolutely not.
So what made you decide, hey, I'm going to jump into this?
Well, in the 5 years that we've been here, I've noticed that most officials aren't really elected. They see an opening, and I'm not saying this is bad, but someone is leaving the city council or opts out to renew their term or run for re-election, and someone will come off of a committee in the city that's serving and maybe doing a good job, and they become a city councilman or the mayor or whatever. And I just thought, you know, I love this community. I'd like to give something back to it. I've got the time, I've got the energy. So I thought I'd make a contest out of it rather than just go look for an opening. At the time that I filed, I had no particular seat that I wanted to fill. I knew Mr. Cable was running against Mr. Grove, so we had a contest there. Mr. Coleman had not yet decided or declared publicly his intentions, but I said, throw me in place 4. After I got into that place, I realized that Mr. Allen and Mr. Petty had also filed a petition to be on the ballot. So I'm interested in the community. I'm interested in what the city's doing. I'm a pretty quick learner. As I told you, I've had lots of experience. I've been around the world 24 times. Worked in Moscow, Beijing, London, Scotland, Dubai, when Dubai had a hotel that was only 4 stories tall and had 40 rooms in it, and believe me, it was not a 5-star motel, a hotel like they have there now. I've worked with many different walks of life. I've been in the recruiting business with McDermott. That was one of the jobs I held before I got into public relations. 7 of the 9 young men that I recruited from Texas A&M and UT went on to become vice presidents of various divisions of the company. So I feel pretty satisfied with that accomplishment.
You mentioned, talked to us a little bit about your wife running a restaurant in New Orleans. What do y'all do now? Is your wife involved in any cooking here
Well,
right now? Or?
Our best friends, when they learned of our intended move, they asked, "Hey, what are you going to do in Kerrville?" And one of those friends had been here with me on a hunting trip, so he knew something about the city. And she said, well, I'll find something to do. Well, since she's been here, she's been on the board of the Republican Women of Kerrville. She's been on the board of directors of Riverville Country Club. She's doing sculpting, she's doing acrylics and oil paintings, and I am very surprised at her talent. She's River Hill Women's Association, she's golfing now, she's been hunting with me, been out to HCSC shooting facilities, doing rifle and target and skeet and pistol shooting. Other than that, she cooks for me.
Now you mentioned your photography earlier. You have a website.
Yes, I do.
Tell us a little bit about that, about your photography.
Well, the website was started here by a young man. He did the website for me because I didn't have the facilities at the time. I've now graduated to 2 iMacs at the home and studying Photoshop and some of the complexities of sort of running my own darkroom. But I've always enjoyed wildlife since I was a child. My uncle who raised me, was my mentor, was not really a Cajun, but you know, his feet were wet from the marsh and his legs were scratched from the briars. He loved the outdoors and he always took me with him. So I got really interested in it when I got into photography as a commercial adventure with McDermott, doing documentary films and still photography. When I started coming to the hill country, I started photographing the wildlife and stuck with it and really, really enjoy it because don't like to do pictures of people. People talk back. I did rusty old oil rigs in my early years. Now I'm doing wildlife. Bit different because they don't stop and pose for you. But it teaches you patience. It teaches you perseverance, and it teaches you something about nature.
Now, you come here from New Orleans and Louisiana, where politics is a bit different. What's your take of Kerrville politics, especially coming from that
Well,
environment?
very different because Kerrville is, they've got some good people serving. Politics in Louisiana, as you probably know, is very corrupt. We've had governors go to prison. We've had senators go to prison. We've got other ones on the books that are facing jail terms and sentences because of their illegal and corrupt dealings. Here in Kerrville, it's different in a sense. Now, the community that we lived in mirrored Kerrville in some ways because it was a community of 22,000 people. Here we have 20,000 people, roughly. So our city council was paid, our mayor was paid, it was full-time jobs. I would like to see that happen here in some form or fashion. Last year, we spent $30,000 on a study on the convention center after Ms. Burdette with the Convention and Visitors Bureau did an excellent job. This is something that I have worked with and know a little bit about the convention business. She did an excellent job, but yet the city had to go outside and get another opinion and spend $30,000. The FBI shooting range, which all of the citizens, not all of the citizens, most of the citizens went forth and said, we don't want that in this neighborhood. It's a bad location. No, 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 no. The city proceeded and said, it's not going to cost the taxpayers a cent, but they spent $24,000 on a feasibility study and eventually turned it down. Now that's something that I think could have been looked into further.